Hello everyone, welcome to question time episode something. I can't really remember because I've been a bit off track recently. We had some housework done, we had a whole new central heating system, then I've just been on a short weekend break to Barcelona, so this is the first one of these little videos I've recorded in a while. So I'm going to try and keep it quite short. I've just got a few questions to answer, so let's get started. So first question this week, where did you get the idea to make a blog? I remember back in around end of 2006-2007, I remember seeing sites like Smashing Magazine and Bitbox, those type of blogs springing up. After a couple of months I decided to give it a go myself. The main reason was just to give me an opportunity to play around with WordPress. I'd read and followed a lot of tutorials online, and I wanted somewhere where I could set up my own little digital playground, so if I could put into practice these ideas that I kept coming up with and turn them into tutorials, which is what I still do nowadays. If I get a spark of inspiration to create a certain piece of artwork, I can create the artwork and then transform it into a tutorial and help other people out. So it was around early 2007 when I decided to give it a go. I just hacked together a theme based on the default Kubrick theme of WordPress, and it wasn't too pretty, but I just started posting a couple of tutorials out, and soon they started gaining some traffic, and the blog started becoming quite popular. So yeah, that's where the idea came from, just to give myself a digital playground to experiment and just to get to grips with WordPress. Right, so next question is, how did I go about naming my business, and how did I get the idea of the name Line 25? Well, the name Spoon Graphics is pretty self-explanatory. It was a name I came up with years ago when I was at university. I'm called Chris Spooner, so I took the name Spoon and Graphics. The typical design sort of name. Like such and such designs, or such and such graphics, or such and such creations. I went down that route and came up with Spoon Graphics. The blog, like I said, it was just an experiment at first, and I never expected it to... What are you doing, Doug? I never expected it to take off or anything, so I just dumped the blog on a subdomain of spoongraphics.co.uk. I would, after time went on, I really wanted to. I wish that I'd set it up as a separate blog, with something more unique than spoongraphics.co.uk. So with Line 25, when I came to set that up, I wanted something like a standalone blog with a unique name, with a .com domain. I originally came up with Web Lounge, but obviously that was taken but not used. I emailed the person who had it registered and they didn't want to sell it, and I came up with, it must have been like 50 other names. Every time I searched for the domain, the .coms were taken. So after lots of pulling out my hair and getting annoyed, I eventually came up with the idea of mixing a word with some sort of combination of numbers. So I came up with Line 25. Well, first of all, Line 45, with the line being the line numbers when you're coding. And just to top it off, the Line 45 domain was already taken. So at least then, with the numbers, I had another 99 choices. So my second choice of Line 25 came up free. So I snatched it up, and then. Must not have been having a very, very lucky day, because I just grabbed Line 25. You thought it was quite a unique name. Went off to Twitter to register the Twitter name, and that was already taken. So I ended up just going for Line 25 blog. So that's where the idea for the name came from. Okay, so finally this week is a question about finding freelance jobs. What do you think of the various Find a Freelancer sites? Have you any experience with them, and would you recommend them for building up skills and experience? I can't say I've ever used one myself, but I definitely know what I mean, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people find good jobs on them. Having not used them, I can't really comment too much, but here's a few of my thoughts. First of all, there's a lot more ways to find a designer than to advertise on a job board. So I'd be tempted to say that a company just putting an advertisement out for someone could potentially be more of a nightmare than someone who's actively searched for someone who's a good match for their project. As for building up experience, we all need as many different jobs and projects as we can. The only way of gaining this experience is doing the projects and learning from mistakes and finding out what makes a good client and what makes a bad client. You don't have to head over to sites like clientsfromhell.com to see some of the nightmare stories. But we all need those sort of jobs to to build up as experience and learn from sort of mistakes in a way. But as an alternative to these find a freelancer sites, having not used them myself, obviously I can only advise on what I've found has worked for me, and that's just to generally network, socialise on websites such as Twitter, Facebook. Write your own blog, and that's how most of my clients find me now. I've spoke about the example of getting to design merchandise for Fallout Boy. I landed that job from a skateboard deck tutorial. A guy from the merchandising company had stumbled onto the tutorial, seen that I'd obviously enjoyed creating that sort of stuff, and got in touch to see if I'd be interested in designing some merch for Fallout Boy. So that's kind of how I've done it, rather than the find a freelancer sites, is just to network and socialise and try and get your name out there. But they obviously work for some people. Like I say, I've not used them myself, but there wouldn't be so many around if they weren't if they didn't work. So definitely go for it if you can spot some jobs on there that look interesting.